Hello and welcome back to the Birdcage. I'm Jack Henna to break down some Creighton basketball. The Creighton Bluejays have won 6 of their last 7 games and are currently on a 4-game win streak. The Blue Jays defeated UConn a few Saturdays ago and followed that up with a huge road win against DePaul in the Windy City. DePaul is a much improved team from years ago. DePaul is 10-10 on the year now after falling to the Creighton Blue Jays, only 1-8 in conference play. This was a must-win game for Creighton, but it had the ability to be a huge letdown. The Blue Jays, even though the first half wasn't nearly as smooth, they didn't let that happen. The Creighton Blue Jays had a very well off game, pretty much led by Jamiya Neal. This is now the second game in a row where Jamiya Neal's just felt more comfortable in the Creighton offense. 14 points, 2 assists, 7 boards for Jamiya Neal to go along with 2 made threes. Jamiya Neal wasn't the only Blue Jay in double figures. Ryan Kolkbrenner also finished the night with 8 rebounds and 13 points and 4 blocked shots. Ashworth had a little bit of a quiet game. 3 boards, 4 assists, 9 points. McAndrew, 9 points. Only one of those was a three-pointer. He did some of his work on the inside as well. Jason Green, 7 points. Fedor Zusic, 8 points. Zugic, 8 points. He didn't shoot the ball necessarily super well from the field, only going 2 for 6, but he was able to make 3 free throws and finishing the night pretty well. Isaac Trout with 2 points on 2 made free throws. Fred King, 6 points. First game, Josh Townley Thomas was able to score. He has 2 points, his first 2 points as a Creighton Blue Jay. And Sammy Osmani coming in and getting a basket in his hometown of Chicago. It was a good game for Creighton. And really, the most important factor of that game was defensively. The Creighton Blue Jays held DePaul to 49 points per game. And DePaul is a team that scores a lot more than that. Before that game, DePaul scored 83 against Marquette and finally broke their streak and won a Big East game against Georgetown, scoring 73. So this is a team that is capable of putting up numbers in the 70s and the 80s, and Creighton held them to 49 points, which is the lowest. Let me double check. Yes, is the lowest that they have been held all season. It was a huge game for Creighton in terms of defense, in terms of the defensive side of the ball. This is a DePaul team that shoots a lot of threes. That's how they get hot, and that's how they can stay in games against teams like Marquette, Villanova, Creighton, Butler. They can do it with any team in the country if they're able to make threes, and Creighton's attention to detail was on point. In the first half, DePaul only made one three-pointer, going 7% from behind the arc, 1 of 14 from the field. In the second half, they knocked it down 2 of 9, but still a percentage head coach Greg McDermott is probably okay with. Offensively, Creighton didn't have their greatest game ever. They went 6 of 19 from behind the arc. A lot of those three-pointers came from Jamiya Neal, who knocked down 2 of them. So it wasn't like we weren't able to knock down anything either. From the field, though, 52%. That's a winning. That is a winning statistic and a category that Creighton definitely likes to be leading in. They also out-rebounded the Blue Demons by 13, winning that battle 43-30, which is also a pretty dead giveaway how the game was going to go. Now, if we look up the match history against DePaul, you will see that Creighton hasn't lost to DePaul since 2015. The last time DePaul beat Creighton was 2015, or February 24th of 2015. So it has been a while of the Creighton Blue Jays kind of owning DePaul. Now, this was a game, like I mentioned, that could have gone south. Coming off such a big win at UConn on Saturday, this could have been a game where Creighton just didn't prepare mentally, wasn't ready to go, and DePaul caught Creighton flat-footed, and that wasn't the case. I think Ryan Kolkbrenner has a legitimate shot to be the National Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's that talented. I think he affects the defense in so many ways. And I feel like he should be the favorite to win Big East Player of the Year or Big East Defensive Player of the Year. I think Eric Dixon will win Big East Player of the Year, but I think Kolkbrenner should be Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Marquette fans will say, look at Stevie Mitchell, look at Stevie Mitchell, look at Stevie Mitchell. But Creighton's entire defense is anchored by Kolkbrenner, with the entire philosophy being if you get beat, funnel him inside because Kolkbrenner's there to clean it up. And I feel like that just holds so much more weight than a player who's able to get 3 steals, 2.5 steals a game. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Stevie Mitchell does deserve to win Defensive Player of the Year. But in my mind and in my opinion, I just feel like Ryan Kolkbrenner's impact defensively is much more important to Creighton than Stevie Mitchell's impact defensively is important to Marquette. Now, the Creighton Blue Jays dominated this game. They did from start to finish. This wasn't really close at all. Now the Creighton Blue Jays will now host Seton Hall. And we'll talk about that game a little bit later in more detail. But that's a game where you just got to come ready to play. And Creighton's more talented than DePaul. They're more talented than Seton Hall. They're more talented than a few of the teams near the bottom of the Big East. But it's so important that you just come ready to play because the Big East can do that to you if you're not ready. That's all I have on the breakdown against DePaul. The Creighton Blue Jays were able to win that game 73-49 thanks to Jamiya Neal's performance, thanks to Ryan Kolkbrenner's defensive importance, thanks to Sammy Osmani's 2 points. Huge win for the Creighton Blue Jays as they look forward to Seton Hall on Saturday.